Hey guys, Santi here on my brand new DVD Blu-ray Tuesday shopping video today. Taking a go out today, see what things came out, see what things are on sale. Today though, some of the main big releases that come out is the film Miss Bala, as well as the film Serenity, which stars, Matthew McConaughey, and then the movie Dragged Across Concrete. Those are pretty much the main ones. I know there's a couple other ones today as well. Also though, at the end of this video is going to be a whole bunch of brand new DVD and Blu-ray reviews for some things I received to review and talk about for you guys. Some really cool stuff. In the comments below though, let me know what you guys thought of the DVDs and Blu-rays that I reviewed, if you guys have seen any of them. Also, if you guys plan on picking any of those ones up. But anyway though, guys, let's get going and see what we can find today. Into Target we go. And from back here, I can tell it looks like all the stuff is out here today. This one, like I was saying, Miss Bala, that one released today. That one's $22.99 for the Blu-ray of that one, and then $19.99 for the DVD of that one. I reviewed this one last Tuesday. I thought it was actually a pretty decent film here, but this one I would highly recommend you guys check out. This one's called Drag Across Concrete, which has Mel Gibson, Vince Vaughn is in here, and it's from the director of Bone Tomahawk and Brawl in Cell Block 99. Both those movies I really loved. It's a very long movie, but it doesn't feel very long, and it was just a really gritty, cop film about these guys who got kicked out of being cops, suspended for a while, and then they ended up kind of turning to crime. And it was just so well done and super brutal, but really love this movie. Really cool to see this one getting in Target and everything like that, like a big release with this. This, like I said, definitely one highly recommend you guys check out. Let me know though if you guys watch this one, what you guys thought as well. This one here, I'm gonna have to see if I can price match this, because this seems like this is cheaper other places. This one here, Serenity, which a lot of people really dislike this movie, and it got really bad reviews. But the thing is, to me it was like a really interesting film that's totally 100% not what I thought it was going to be at all. Like the trailers kind of made it look like it was this sort of typical movie, and then it was not at all what I thought at all. So different. And I actually really like this one. Like I said, it's $19.99 most other places, so I'm going to have to see if I can price match that. And also though, for $14.99, this one came out today, 16 Candles. But I wouldn't, if you guys have region free though, I wouldn't recommend getting this new edition, because it's just the same features. It's in a new case and everything. It has like a book and then things in here. But the Arrow Video in the UK is going to be releasing an edition of this one. They're also releasing Weird Science. That one's going to be out in America, but they're releasing a UK Blu-ray of this one, which has a whole bunch of brand new features. And I think it has the TV edit of the movie, or one of the TV edited scenes added back into the film, like the lunchroom scene or something like that. This is a cool edition though, but like I said, just keep in mind that Arrow Video is releasing in the UK, so you have to have a region B player for it. But I just want to make sure to let you guys know that one was coming out. Other than that, like I said, I don't see anything else in here too different here today. I'll look over here too at the TV. Sometimes they have new TV stuff over here, but not seeing anything else in here. But like I said, I'm gonna have to try and see if I can price match this one to Walmart. These ones here are new as well. These have new slip covers on them. Yeah, these are interesting. There's 16 Candles one here for $10. This one for Scarface. Another one, a new one with this slip cover for Jaws. Yeah, these are classic quote packaging. Oh, so it has the quotes, like we're gonna need a bigger boat. You're using the whole, yeah, so these are kind of funny. If you build it, he will come. And I always mix this up with the Stephen King movie, not Stephen King, Steven Spielberg movie, the space movie. I'm totally blanking right now. There's so much talking in here today, but I'm blanking. But I don't know why I always mix that up with that. And then Houston, We Have a Problem. So these are kind of cool, new, like I said, slipcovers editions of these ones here. But other than that, though, not seeing anything else in here too different today. I think this was one of the only other ones today. This one, Mission of Honor. Actually, I don't know anything about that one. And it's funny too. They've been putting this Support the Girls here, because this came out a couple months back, so it's funny that's in the new release section. But I'll just check over here as well, just in case there's anything new kid-wise over here. I think this is in the wrong spot. This llama in the red pajama. I do not know what that is, but yeah, it doesn't seem like there's anything else different over here as far as I can tell though. Yeah, but the movie back there I was trying to figure out was Close Encounters. I was totally blanking because there was all kind of noise all around over there, but yeah, I was getting all thrown off. But I actually scanned this and it actually came up $19.99, so luckily enough I don't have to have them price match this one. Yeah, it's now starting to drizzle rain bad, but yeah, I ended up getting the Serenity one in there. But like I said, I know that movie's got like really negative reviews. I don't think there's any features on here, but for some reason I was really surprised by that movie. Just really liked the whole, like how it was just such a different movie all around. It was totally 100,000% not at all what I thought it was going to be, and I really liked it. But it's a shame though there's no features or anything at all on it. But it's one of those ones too you would think would sometimes go down in price, but not always. When it's like kind of the more indie, smaller title that comes out that doesn't get a whole lot of attention, sometimes they never end up going down in price much at all. Into Walmart we go. And over here, though, some of the new things that came out, like I was saying, was Dragged Across Concrete. It was one of the big releases today. That one's $17.96 for the Blu-ray of that, and $14.96 for the DVD. But like I said, this one's totally worth checking out. I really love this one so much. And they have Miss Bala here on Blu-ray. That one's $19.96 here, and then $17.96 here for the DVD of that one. Other than that, though, they have Serenity here as well, and that one's $19.96 for the Blu-ray and $17.96 for the DVD. And then that other one, like I was saying, Mission of Honor. I don't know much about that one. If you guys have seen that movie, though, let me know how that was. That was $14.96 for the Blu-ray, $12.96 for the DVD. And also today, this one here is $17.96. This came out, this movie called Arctic. And I've heard some decent things about this movie. I haven't watched the trailer or anything, but if you guys have watched this movie, let me know if this one is worth picking up. Because I'm always a fan of Mads Mikkelsen, so like in his films. So if, like I said, like if this one's worth picking up, let me know for sure. Other than that, though, the one that came out today was a horror film, Hole in the Ground. This one here is $12.96 here. This is actually a pretty creepy movie about this mother who moves with her son to this new house, and there's this huge, gigantic, like sinkhole in the woods. This huge hole in the woods, you know, in the woods nearby the house, and something happens to the kid one night. He goes out there. When he comes back, he's acting really strange. But that was actually a pretty creepy movie. Other than that, though, I don't think there's anything else in here new, because next Tuesday, they always change out the actual section over here. You know, the first Tuesday of the month, so there's going to be a whole bunch of brand new horror and indie films over there. But like I said, other than that, don't really see anything else in here new today, though. Into the Valley Thrift Store we go. It's been a couple weeks since I was last in here, so we'll see if they change anything out in here. Every time you come in here, though, it's always like Shoe City. There's so many shoes on the side, but yeah, we'll see what's new. It seems like there's a bunch of stuff down here on the bottom. That's always a good sign when they have a lot of stuff down here, which means they usually got in some newer things. And I have found some decent out-of-print things here in the past, every so often. Not every time, but we'll see, you know, what we can find in here today. And sometimes you sort of see like the same stuff, but every so often there's weird random stuff in here, like some Tony Danza movie. I think this was like a TV movie or something, I believe. From 2004, Tony Danza Stealing Christmas. Yeah, I think I might have watched this when it was on TV or something like that. That's a really weird one, though. Let's see, though, anything else in here interesting today. I think I was like maybe a month when I was last in here, maybe something like that. And I remember I did find a couple things in here last time. Sometimes, though, I come across stuff and it was like sort of scratched up, one of the things last time around, so I didn't get everything. There are never that many Blu-rays, though. There's like a few in here, mainly DVDs in here. Some G.I. Joe thing here. Not know what this is. It's like some kind of like CGI kind of thing or something. I don't know what that is. This is one where you don't hear about too often, with Reese Witherspoon. I remember really liking this one when this first came out. I remember like renting this one a whole lot. I don't know if this one came to Blu-ray or not. I can't remember for sure if that one ever did. I feel like it may have, but I'm not sure. Yeah, these ones here, though, seem to be like the only Blu-rays that are in here. It's just like, that's pretty much, that's about it. But like this one here, I always love this movie. This is one of those ones I always wonder if it like someday could get like a Blu-ray release. I don't know if this was something that was ever like edited on film or anything like that. It was all like shot on video back in the day or not. This is one of those ones that was like a public domain release, and like they released this so many different times. And some of the prints had like really bad like edits in them, I remember. You know, it had like, I guess where the commercials were or something, and they were really messed up. Not all of them, but I remember like, that was one of those movies I watched those so many different times. But like, yeah, I'm trying to look through all this stuff to see anything different today. And I found a couple different like sort of interesting stuff I don't always see, but nothing like amazing. But I'm just gonna keep looking. This is a pretty good Danny Boyle movie you don't hear about too often, that he directed, about this kid that found all this money. This, like I said, this is one you never ever hear people talking about, and it's actually a really kind of cool film. Yeah, but I looked through all that stuff in there and really didn't see anything that different in there today, though. Yeah, I went through all the stuff, though, and not really that, you know, different. And it looks like that Best Laid Plans one did come to Blu-ray, but I think it went out of print, though. Into the consignment shop we go. Yeah, I haven't been in this place in a while, but like the prices in here are kind of like odd on some of the things. Like it's one Holy Matrimony here for like $9 for a Blu-ray. So they're all kind of like, there's no like one set price for things. Some are $5, some, like I said, are $9. So it's really like, yeah, like this Dawn of the Dead one, this is like the old release one, $9. So it's kind of like really random, like what stuff's in here. But then like they have Speed Racers, the complete 52 episode series, and that's only $5. So it's like I said, it's really random, like how some things are so much more than others in here. They definitely have a few more things than they did last time I was in here. A lot of TV seasons in here, but like $12. So like I said, nothing like, not super amazing prices in here. They do have a bunch of VHS tapes in here as well. I don't know what these ones cost in here. I think these are, I think most of these are $1. I don't think I ever watched this movie with Dennis Hopper and Kiefer Sutherland. Dennis, the last days of Frankie the Fly. Yeah, I don't think I ever saw that one, but always cool still when you can see old VHS tapes somewhere still. I don't know this one. They have this, like, I remember when this came out, this like edition, like everyone was talking about this on VHS, but that's when they made all those edits to the film, you know. But I still do wish they would release, you know, on Blu-ray the ones without edits, you know, the original versions of the movies, but I doubt that is ever going to happen from the sound of that. And this past weekend, the only movie that I saw in theaters was Avengers Endgame. Now, I won't say anything, though, about the movie's plot or anything like that, so don't worry. I don't want there to be anything, you know, that can be considered a spoiler or anything like that. I will say, though, it's one of those movies, though, if you guys have not seen Avengers Infinity War, 100% make sure you guys check that one out first, because this movie picks up directly after that one, because, you know, that one ended up on a huge cliffhanger, and this one's essentially what the, you know, about the Avengers dealing with what had happened in the last movie and trying to figure out what they're going to do next. That's pretty much all I can say. The one thing about the movie that I really loved was it had like this self-aware aspect to the movie and was like referencing other movies, and I can't say what they were referencing, but I just thought it was really cool they were making these references and kind of talking all about them and everything in the movie. And like I just, all in all, though, thought that it was just a really, really fun movie. As much as I liked Infinity War, I feel like just like Endgame just was a much more fun movie all around, and just like the plot and everything that was happening, I feel like it was definitely probably the best of all the Marvel films that there's been, just because plot-wise and everything, and it was just really, really cool movie all around. Let me know in the comments below, though, what you guys thought of Avengers Endgame, if you guys got to check it out this past weekend, or what movie what movies you guys got to see this past weekend, if you guys got to check anything out. Into Best Buy we go. Yeah, they have in here, you know, Serenity as well. That one's $19.99. This one, though, it seems like this was a lot cheaper, though, at Walmart. I think it was like only $17.99 there. That one's $21.99 here. But you can always price match these. But like I said, if you guys have seen this movie, let me know how this one was. They still have Alien, but they don't have any more of the Steelbooks. They didn't have those ones last week either, but they still have a bunch of the Captain America Steelbooks. There's only one, though, of the Winter Soldier, but a lot of Civil War and the first Captain Avenger movie. But over here in the actual section, though, they have Miss Bala over here. That one's $19.99 for that one. Seems to be pretty much $19.99 everywhere. They do have Dragged Across Concrete as well, the Blu-ray of that. That one's $16.96. But other than that, though, not really seeing anything else in here too different here today, as far as I can tell. So anyway, though, guys, that's all for my DVD Blu-ray Tuesday shopping video. Like I always say, if you guys enjoy these shopping videos, definitely give this video a thumbs up. Also, in the comments below, let me know, you know, what you guys picked up on DVD, Blu-ray, or 4K. If you guys picked up anything today. Also, as well, be sure to let me know what you guys thought of all the DVDs and Blu-rays that I reviewed at the end in the review portion of this video. You know, what you guys thought of them, if you guys have seen them. Also, if you guys plan on picking any of them, you know, them up. But anyway, though, guys, now stay tuned for the brand new reviews. And the first ones here are from Arrow Video. I just want you guys to know that these ones are available. And this one here is The Grand Duel, which is a spaghetti western film. This is essentially, though, about this ex-sheriff who was protecting this guy who was charged for the murder of this really high-profile figure called the Patriarch. And this guy's been charged with the murder, and he's like saying that he was framed, and he had absolutely nothing to do with this. And essentially, though, there's like a bounty on this guy's head who was, you know, being charged with the murder. And there's like bounty hunters coming after him and trying to collect and everything. And this ex-sheriff is essentially trying to protect them and keep them safe. At the same time, they're trying to figure out and find the real people who were involved with this murder and everything. But if you guys are fans of, you know, spaghetti western films, definitely worth checking out. Also has really, really great music in this one. That's the one thing about spaghetti western movies I always really love is the soundtracks, the scores to the movies. This one has just really, really cool music. And this one has on here, though, a brand new 2K restoration from the original 35mm negative. And also it has the English language track as well as the Italian language track for the audio options. But there's a whole bunch of different features on here. There's a brand new commentary on here with film critic and historian Stephen Prince, as well as a bunch of new interviews on here. There's an interview on here with the director, a brand new interview on here with the screenwriter, a new interview on here with the producer, as well as a newly filmed interview with the assistant director on this one. There's also a video appreciation on here, newly filmed video appreciation by Austin Fisher. And there's also a thing on here that has the comparisons between the different cut of the film, because like the German cut was a little different and shows like the differences between them. There's also on here a short film which, you know, features one of the actors from the film in this one. And there's also on here extensive image gallery, you know, featuring stills, posters, lobby cards, and home video sleeves on this one, as well as original Italian and international theatrical trailers on this one. So lots and lots of features. And in here as well, there's a booklet which has, you know, some stills from the movie and like some facts and stuff about it and everything. Like I said, if you guys are fans of spaghetti western films, definitely is one here that's you know, worth checking out for sure. And the next one here is from Arrow Video as well, and this is from the Arrow Academy line. We'll let you guys know that this one is available as well. And this one is called, I think it's like KHRUSTALYOV. I'm not maybe saying this totally wrong. My Car, and this is a film here. This is from 1998 is when the copyright is for the film here. Like I said, I'm totally not sure how to say this. It's like KHRUSTALYOV. I can say, like I said, I'm saying this probably totally 100% wrong, but I'll show you guys a look at this set here. And this has on here, though, a new 2K restoration for the original camera negative on this one, as well as newly translated English subtitles, a commentary track on here by film researcher and programmer Daniel Bird, Between Realism and Nightmare, a new video essay on the film and the films of the director by historian and film critic Eugene Zuffanog. On here as well, a Diagnosis Murder. The academic Jonathan Brent talks about Stalin's anti-Semitic campaign, which provides the backdrop to the film, as well as on here a re-release, a trailer, a limited edition 60-page booklet featuring new writings on this one, and reversible sleeve. Like I said, I'll show you guys a look inside. Like I said, it includes a poster for the film in here. So a really cool limited edition release for this movie. But here's the poster, and it has the original poster image on this one, as well as the new image for the you know, the Blu-ray here. And then inside of here there is a booklet which has, you know, some stills and stuff like that about the movie, all that kind of stuff in this one here, as well as a look at the, I'll show you guys a look at the Blu-ray here. It has, you know, the disc, and then it has the reversible artwork, like I mentioned in here, the reversible poster artwork, which is the poster artwork that I showed. That, you know, this was the original poster artwork. So a really, really cool release. If you guys are fans of this film, like I said, want to let you guys know that this one is available, and this is from the Arrow Academy line. And now the next one here is from Shout Factory. This is an interesting superhero film called Valentine, the Dark Avenger. This is basically, though, it's about this this guy who really wants to make this superhero film, and like he's trying to get it produced, and he's like having like no luck with it at all. So he comes with the idea that, well, in order to kind of get this superhero movie to kind of get some buzz and maybe like get made, is he wants to like actually kind of have the superhero that he like created and wrote about in this script. He wants to actually have this actually exist. So he's trying to like actually cast and find the actual person to like that what will do like what the superhero is in his script, so he can kind of like film it and then like kind of create buzz, like going, oh, this superhero is like protecting the city, because there's like this city, it's kind of like has all kind of bad guys and crime and kind of problems and stuff going on. So he's kind of thinks like, oh, if he kind of creates buzz, so he ends up getting one of his friends who's like in the who does like film set stuff, like fashion designs and like looks and like makeup and all that kind of stuff. He has him help hold the camera and everything, and helps him with the casting. But he ends up seeing this one girl that he knows is perfect, because he sees her like doing some kind of something, like she was like fighting somebody or something happens. He witnesses it, and he's like, oh, you know, would you be interested in being in this movie? Even though it's not really a movie, it's just kind of like these viral kind of campaigns. But what ends up happening, though, is this girl kind of goes and becomes an actual superhero. And it's kind of like about like him filming it to get the buzz, but then like sort of the buzz starts to happen. But then the this girl ends up getting the you know, the eyes of like this real criminal in the city, and it becomes kind of a bad thing that's going on. But it's a really, really fun superhero movie. And I think I was looking it up, and I believe it was filmed in, I think, Indonesia, I believe. But it has on here, though, the English language audio. Yeah, it's an Indonesian film, but it has on here the English and Indonesian audio tracks. I watched the one that was dubbed in English, though. But it has on here, though, a theatrical trailer and a behind-the-scenes image gallery in this one. But just actually, like I said, really fun movie. And the next one here is from Movie Zing, and this is a Universal release. And this is Mr. Bean's Holiday, finally on Blu-ray. This one has only ever been available, you know, on Blu-ray in like other countries up until now. You know, it's been on DVD in the U.S., but it was on the short-lived, you know, format HD DVD. But, you know, it never actually got a Blu-ray release at that time, because that was like one of those times when there was like the big format wars between Blu-ray and HD, and this is, like I said, one of the ones that ended up only on HD DVD at the time and no Blu-ray. So finally we have a Blu-ray of this one. You know, the Mr. Bean character, though, is probably like one of my top favorite characters of all time, next to Pee Wee Herman and Ernest P. Worrell. Like, those are like my, like, when it comes to like, you know, characters that I love to watch in movies and everything, those are the like my favorite ones ever since I was a little kid. You know, and also like the Mr. Bean series, that's one of those shows that you can watch again and again and again. And this film, I feel like Mr. Bean is a lot more like he, you know, was in the show, you know, because he wasn't in this film, he isn't talking as much, because in the Mr. Bean, the film Bean, which was the first Mr. Bean movie, he was much more talkative, and he was a little bit different. I actually liked him in that form, you know, and I know some people didn't, but I don't know, I really like that movie. It's one of those movies I watched so many times. I haven't watched Mr. Bean's Holiday as much, so I was really glad to get to watch this one again. And it's basically, though, about Mr. Bean's character who ends up winning this trip to the French Riviera, and it's during the time of the Cannes Film Festival, and he also wins this camera as well. So it's kind of him filming his adventure and his trip on the train and everything. And essentially, though, because it's the Mr. Bean, he's like ends up in all sorts of problems, and he meets different characters along the way, and he's trying to help certain characters, and he's like just basically runs into like anything that can go wrong for Mr. Bean goes wrong for Mr. Bean. There's all kind of wacky encounters and all kind of wacky problems. It's just such a fun film. Like I said, the Mr. Bean character is such a fun character. If you guys have never seen anything Mr. Bean, 100% some of you guys have got to watch, you know, watch the series Mr. Bean, then watch, you know, Bean, you know, the Ultimate Disaster movie, and then of course Mr. Bean's Holiday. I do hope that one day, you know, Rowan Atkinson does another Mr. Bean movie. I know he says he thinks that it might not happen. He has brought the character back here and there in some shorts and stuff like that, you know, in the last few years, but I still would love to see a third Mr. Bean movie, because he did 3 Johnny English films, so I feel like it'd be kind of cool if he did it, you know, make it be a series of a trilogy, but you never know. This one has on here, though, deleted scenes. It has on here some featurettes as well, but like I said, so glad this one has a Blu-ray release in the U.S. And the next one here is from Movie Zing, and this comes from Warner Brothers, and it's a documentary directed by Peter Jackson, so I was really interested in seeing. And this has a Blu-ray, the DVD, and a digital copy, and this is They Shall Not Grow Old. This is essentially, though, you know, this is really well put together. This is like footage from World War I that was rarely seen, some rare footage, and I think some of it had never been seen before ever. And it's essentially, though, Peter Jackson, he put this all together it starts off, normal, like the way the footage really looked. Like, it was in black and white, it was very aged and everything. And it's all like the soldiers from the war. It was like interviews and of soldiers and kind of telling their story about what it was like, what they were going through during the war, how I kind of go through all the, like, kind of their stories about the whole situation, the kind of things that they saw and everything. It starts off normally just like the regular black and white footage, then it expands into this footage where he did an amazing job with turning it into like full HD. Like, he was getting the best definition he could get out of it, and he was colorizing the footage, and it was really well done, the way that he brought in on the image. And you really, like, because usually when you were thinking of footage from like the World War and this kind of footage, it was footage from far back about big groups and everything. This one really, the way he was having these soldiers' interviews, it was really fitting so well to the footage that he, had access to, and the way he colorized and everything, the way he put this all together with the music and everything. Just a really, really well done documentary on here. And this has on here, though, the making of. This is, I think it was like a 20-30 minute interview or so about him kind of talking about the footage and all that kind of stuff as well. But definitely worth checking out here. If you guys have seen this, let me know what you guys thought. This one here is from Movie Zing as well, and it's from the company Deja Vu LLC. This is one I was really interested in seeing, and this is I Spit on Your Grave Deja Vu, aka Day of the Woman Deja Vu. And this is this is actually the official sequel to the original I Spit on Your Grave, because they made the remake of it, I Spit on Your Grave a number of years back, and then they made the 2 sequels to that one. Both of them didn't, like, I think the third one, though, connected to the first original remake film. The second one was like its own movies, as far as I remember. But this one here is a continuation, a follow-up that's set 40 years after the original I Spit on Your Grave, as far as Camille Keaton. And Camille Keaton is back as well in this one. This is I Spit on Your Grave, Deja Vu. And this is essentially, though, about kind of what had happened with Camille Keaton's character after the whole event of the first movie, where she had all these horrific things happen to her, and like by these these guys, and she was getting revenge on them for what they did to her, kind of horrible stuff that she went through by these guys. And she got revenge. It was a revenge film. And now this one, though, is years later, and her character wrote a book about her encounters and what had happened, became very popular through this book. Her daughter now is a model, who's a very successful model, and they're both meeting together to have lunch, and then this truck pulls up and kidnaps the mother, and the daughter's there, so they kidnap her as well. And it turns out, though, that the people that kidnap her are, related in some way. Like, the one is the wife of one of the people that she had killed in the original film, and like they're getting revenge. Is some confusion, though, exactly, like, because like I feel like some of the characters seem like they're too young to be, like, pretty much most of them to be like been alive then, or like so there's a confusion about the ages of everything. I was kind of looking past all that, because like that seems kind of confused about like exactly when all those things took place and everything. And like some people were like mentioning certain things, like I don't know, it just seemed confusing about the dates. But essentially, though, it becomes Camille Keaton and her daughter are being, taken out to the woods, and it becomes a whole big thing. And it deals mainly, though, with, Jamie Bernadette's character, who is the daughter, and like her, going through similar, pretty much what happened in the first film in a revenge aspect. Performance-wise, though, Marie Olsen plays one of the main bad guys in the movie, and she did an amazing job. Like, she is so cool in this movie, playing this horrific bad person. Same with Jamie Bernadette. She plays the daughter and did a really, really good job in this movie. Performances, though, everyone did a good job. The biggest downfall of this movie, though, is it's like 2.5 hours long, and it's way, 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 way too long. Like, I don't know why it was cut as long as it was. It almost feels like, because it was done just like the original movie, the original movie didn't have any music in it. This has music if like they're in the car, or if somebody turns on a radio or something, but like the original didn't have any music. And that was the one thing I didn't love about the original. I wish it had some music. Just like with this one, I was just thinking like how cool it would be with like some cool throwback like 80s, 70s, 80s synth music, and like some tone, kind of like Rob Zombie would do or something. Just like even like a little just tone to it. It would have added to this movie. And if it was quickened up a little bit, because like it's just so slow with some of the scenes, the way it drags things out. And I just feel like it could could have really made things work so much more effective if it wasn't so long. Because like I got to the one point where it was like an hour and a half, and I looked and see how much was left, and I didn't know at the time how long it was. And then I'm like, there's that much left? And it feels almost like this would be near where the end would be coming. But I don't know, it's still worth watching, you know, performance-wise. Like I said, everyone did a really good job. It's just too long. It just sort of feels like you're watching a rough cut, that, you know, before they cut it down like 2 or 3 times to get it to like, you know, I feel like if it was like an hour and, you know, 40 minutes, you know, even 2 hours would be okay. It just seems, it just rolls on a little too long. That's the only thing I don't understand exactly with the movie, why it was that long. The next one here is from Mill Creek. It's a really cool documentary series here. But before I talk about this, though, I want to mention, too, Mill Creek just announced they're going to be releasing in July this set which has 6 shark films, and then has 1 bonus movie as well. And the one thing that's really cool is the one film on there that they included in the set, and it's finally coming out to DVD in America, is the film Ghost Shark, which I was, you know, in for Sci-Fi Channel, which I'm riding around. This is back when I was really heavy. I'm riding around on a jet ski, getting attacked by the shark, and getting away from the shark. It's a really fun movie, and I was like, you know, it had come out in other countries on DVD and I think on Blu-ray in Germany and stuff, but it never had gotten an American release. I was always like wondering why and hoping it would finally come out at some point, but now it finally is in July. So, you know, this one, like I said, one of you guys know I'm going to be talking about it way more when it releases, and I'm going to be talking about it big time because, like I said, it's never come out before, so I really cannot wait to talk about it because I feel like there's a lot of people that probably haven't gotten to see it. But like I said, you know, I'll let you guys know when it's released and everything, but it's going to be coming out in July. This is a new documentary series that they released here called Becoming Evil Serial Killers. And this is all about, you know, an investigation documentary series that's talking about 70 of the history's most brutal serial killers. And it goes through, like, Richard Ramirez, who's the Night Stalker, John Wayne Gacy, Ted Bundy, H.H. Holmes, which I know they've been trying to make that H.H. Holmes movie forever with Leonardo DiCaprio. I don't know if they're ever going to get to do it. I always thought, because that was like the first serial killer that was like, had this, and I always thought it would have made a really crazy movie because there was like a guy who had this hotel and he had all these like death rooms in it and like acid thing, crazy stuff. It was like, there was like a couple little documentaries on it. But, you know, this is, if you guys are interested in like serial killers and documentaries and stuff like that on that, like I said, one of you guys know that this one was out here. And the next one here is from Dark Sky Films. This is a movie here called Level 16. I literally just finished watching this movie. This is a top recommendation movie. I really like this. This one's like essentially though about these girls in this school, and it's like this weird kind of building that they're all in, and it's like you're kind of figuring out what is going on here exactly, just because of the way the place looks and everything, and they're like told to keep their head down and stuff. And essentially though, it's about these 2 girls who were friends in the beginning of this movie when they were younger, and then they have all these rituals that they have to do in the school, and they have to like wash their face and stuff and make sure this camera sees them do it and everything. But what ends up happening is something gets screwed up, and the one girl doesn't wash her face in time when she's supposed to, and she gets like taken away to some room downstairs. And then it's years later when they've moved on to level 16, because they have these levels that they go through in this weird school, and when they, you know, get to level 16, the girls see each other again, and the one's really mad to see her though again because like she didn't help her when she dropped the thing, and she ended up getting out of line and getting in trouble for it and everything. But then it's essentially though the one girl's saying, you know, don't take the pills they're telling you to take, don't take these vitamins, they're, you know, just don't take them. And she basically comes to realize that there's some really weird things going on in this school, and it's one of these things when it's like I said, it's like you don't know exactly too when this is taking place, because like they're watching these movies, and they're watching like these really old movies, and they watch these weird like kind of like instructional videos, like school kind of teaching videos that they would play in like the 1950s and 60s, like those school educational films. And it's just essentially though, it's about, there's something really odd going on in this school place, and it's like there's this doctor in there, and this one woman who is like, you know, coming in there and yelling at them if they don't do things exactly as they supposed to, and they have all these ways that they say that women are supposed to act, and they're supposed to be looking down and, you know, listen to all the rules and everything. It's a little hard to explain everything that happens in this movie, but really absolutely worth checking out. It's one of those movies too, I went into it not knowing anything about it. I hadn't seen a trailer or anything. Sometimes I like that when I go in a movie like literally knowing nothing about it. So I would highly recommend you guys check this one out. This one has on here a making of and a whole bunch of different interviews on this one. And the next one here is from Scream Team Releasing. It's a movie here called Close Calls. And this is, has a slipcover on this one. It has a bunch of different covers you can switch between this image here, as well as the like retro old school one, which is done like a VHS. Like it has like a thing on here that says like horror. I actually really like this retro one here because it has like thing on here that says horror. It's all aged up on the back. It has a thing that says be kind, rewind. This is a crazy movie. This is basically though about this one guy. He like goes out of the house and like he leaves his daughter at the house to watch the old grandmother who's like real sick and has got all kinds of problems and stuff, and it's like she's up in the creepy weird attic and there's like rats and stuff up there and everything, and like basically though he takes her phone away and like all this kind of stuff. He's like giving her all kinds of problems and like making her deal with his grandmother because he has to go out on this date and he doesn't want to deal with his mother. So it's basically like she's going up there to see the grandmother, and the grandmother's like coughing up and like all kind of sicknesses and everything, and she's like saying she wants like weird like nacho cheese soup or something. She was asking for these really peculiar things, but essentially though it's all about odd things that are going on in this house, and like she's getting these weird calls, and she's starting to like notice weird things are going on in the house, and it's all like the lighting and everything is kind of like Suspiria lighting, where it's like the reds and the blues and those kind of like crazy colors and everything, and it's like trippy, like I said, trippy kind of lighting, old school kind of music and everything. Just a really, really interesting, out there, weird kind of thing that she's going through with all these kind of odd stuff happening and everything. This has on here though a making of on here, feature-length documentary. It has a commentary on here with the writer and the director on this one, as well as the stars on this one. Bonus commentary on here with film a story and production stills gallery, building the sets, a time lapse, a gag reel, trailers. Like I said, this is from Scream Team Releasing. And the next one's here from Severin Films. This is a movie here called Death Warmed Up. This is one I was really interested in seeing. This movie kind of has the vibe, a little bit of a vibe of like the movie Body Melt, mixed with like some aspects, a little bit of like Island of Dr. Moreau, kind of like the experiment aspects on this island. It's essentially though about these two doctors who are doing these kind of weird experiments on like the brain and like all these kind of odd stuff going on. But the one doctor is saying, we should stop doing these. These are a failure. They're not working or anything. So they're having all these big arguments about the whole thing, and the one son though is going to see his father, who's the one doctor who's against the experiments and everything. He's going to see him in the medical office. It's like the off limits area, and he goes in there to see his father and kind of witnesses this big fight between both of them. And then the one doctor who's really into these experiments though injects the kid, the one son, and then the son basically with this injection it kind of makes him kind of under his control. So the doctor that really is into these experiments and everything kind of because of this this injection makes the kid go and kill his father, who's is the other doctor, and his mother, and then the kid ends up going to the insane asylum and is like, I don't know what has happened. I have no idea whatsoever how this happened. I was framed for this, because he doesn't remember at all what had happened. He just knows that he's being charged with these murders and everything. Of course, like I said, it was the doctor with this injection and stuff that made him do this. And years later, now the doctor is on this island, and he's like has this island where basically he's doing all these sort of weird experiments, and he's kind of able to kind of do as he pleases there. That's why it has like the kind of Island of Dr. Moreau kind of feel. And the island that they're on is sort of like something out of like the Wicker Man, one of those kind of islands we have to take a boat to get to, and it's kind of like away from everything, and there's like no way on and off the island except for like with a ferry boat on and off. But essentially though, the kid now is going, years later, who was framed for this murder and everything because this doctor is there now with his girlfriend and his two other friends, and he's kind of there because he kind of wants to, he's like sort of planning sort of a revenge essentially there. But then the one friends want to see these caves, like there's these weird cave systems of like these World War II like bunker caves and stuff. But essentially though, the second they get on this boat over there, there's like these two weird guys there who, of course, some of the experiments, and they have like these growth, one has these growth on his head that's like pulsating, kind of like I said, kind of vibes in the movie Body Melt. And it's like this really gross, weird stuff's happening to them and stuff, and they're like kind of getting, again, coming after the kids there and everything. It's just basically them on this island with all this weird stuff going on, and them like going through these systems of, and it's just basically like weird stuff, and all the people, lots of people on the island are like experimented on and everything. I actually thought this was a really cool movie. This has on here though a commentary track on here with the director and the writer. It has an interview on here with one of the actors. It has deleted scenes with optional audio commentary on here with the director as well as the writer. It has the original New Zealand VHS cut of the film on here, as well as an interview on here with David Blythe and the director on this one, as well as David Blythe and the writer, as well as a theatrical trailer, VHS trailers, TV spot in this one, so lots and lots of features. Really fun movie, and it has a brand new transfer in this one as well. Really looks great here. The next one's here. I just covered up a few things on here just so no one says anything, but there's nothing bad on them or anything. This is a movie here called Escape from Women's Prison. And this is, I believe this is from 1984, but it's basically, though, they made a lot of different women's prison movies around this time. There was a bunch of different ones where it was in the prison, Linda Blair was in the one movie, but there was a lot of ones set in the prison with all kind of corruptions and everything. Then there was ones about people escaping from prisons, and in the Philippines as well, they made a number of ones. They were escaping from prisons and going out into the jungle and having all sorts of problems. This one is basically about a group of these girls that ended up escaping from this prison, and then they end up, hijacking this bus, and then with these girls on it's like a tennis group's bus, and they end up basically finding a house that they go and hide out in, and they lock the girls up in there, and it's kind of them what they're planning and all these sort of weird, crazy things that they're doing and everything. I actually thought this was actually a pretty cool movie. This one I had never seen before, but it's like I said, there's very different types of women's in prisons movies. This one was there was no prison scenes or anything. This one was what they do when they're out of prisons, and kind of holding up in this house. So there wasn't really, can't really think of too many other ones that were this kind of one, set in a house or anything like that. This one has on here, though, feature-wise, it has the bonus version of the film, which is the Italian cut of the movie, which has the Italian audio with English subtitles, as well as an interview on here with the director and the theatrical trailer on this. And the next one here is Emmanuel and Francos. This is from director, Joe D'Amato, who's done tons and tons of movies. He did a lot of stuff, and it stars, George Eastman, who was from Anthropologists, and a lot of the, I think he was in Erotic Nights of the Living Dead, and he's in lots and lots of Italian horror movies. And this was Joe D'Amato did this movie right before they started doing the Black Emmanuel series, which were the ones that were really, really popular, and they made tons of sequels like Black Emmanuel with the Cannibals and tons of different ones. There's lots and lots of Black Emmanuel films, but this is essentially, though, about this guy who was cheating on his girlfriend, and she kind of caught him, came in and saw him with this other woman and everything, and it made her, because basically this guy was really kind of not a great person at all, and kind of abusive, and just the way he was acting and everything, and she basically ended up killing herself, and her sister, the girl who died's sister, found out about this whole thing and tracks down the guy who was a boyfriend, and it's basically, though, about her planning this whole thing of trying to seduce him, and planning on basically getting him to this house and tying him up and chaining him up and everything in this room, and she's planning all these different things that she's doing and everything, and it also cuts back and forth to to stuff that the boyfriend was doing to the sister and all this kind of stuff. This is actually a pretty interesting movie. Like I said, this was right before that the Emmanuel series really took off with those ones. So this is its own standalone film here. This one has on here, though, an interview on here with one of the actresses, an interview with George Eastman, deleted and alternate scenes on this one, as well as a trailer on this one. And the next one here is from Twilight Time Releasing, and it's a movie here called Melvin and Howard. This one is limited to 3,000 copies. This is one I had never seen before. What's really cool is this movie takes place in 1980, so it's there's scenes in Vegas and everything in this. And it's really cool to see how different Vegas was in 1980, and how different the main strip was, because now they have all these things that go across it to get over it, these bridges and everything, and this is back when it was totally different. None of those things were there, and it had this much more sparseness to it. So I don't know, it was really cool to see how really different it was, Essentially, though, this is about this guy named Melvin, and he's kind of someone who's got money problems, and he's not really having a whole lot of success in his life. He's having problems in his relationships, and his girlfriend and his wife, played by Mary Steenburgen, she left him, and she said basically he's having all sorts of problems. And one day in the desert, though, he picks up this guy, this old man who was injured out there in the desert because he was messing around and everything, and they kind of show what he's doing. And he basically, though, he kind of talks to him and everything, and he's saying that this old man says, "Oh, oh, I'm Howard Hughes. And the guy's like, Melvin's like, yeah, yeah, you can be whatever you want. And it's essentially, though, all about Melvin's character, like the things that he's going through in his life and all the problems that he has. And then it comes into play, though. There's a big thing, though, that this guy may have actually been Howard Hughes, and like there may be a huge amount of money coming to Melvin. But then there's like a whole big thing about the whole thing, and like about if controversies around it and everything. This is actually a really good movie. There's a lot of people that pop up in this movie. Like I said, Mary Streamer is in this movie. Dabney Cohen is in this movie. A whole bunch of different people. This one has on here, though, an isolated music track. Has a commentary track on here with Jonathan Demme and the production designer, as well as a theatrical trailer on this one. There's also a booklet in here as well. It has like some different artwork on here, as well as some facts and stuff like that about the movie. The next one here is from Mondo Macabro. This is a movie, really cool music in this movie, called The Devil's Nightmare. This is basically, though, about these tourists that are all in this like kind of like sort of strange bus, like it has like a weird look to like old school bus, because it's set in the 70s, but it has like a cool old bus that they're in, and they end up like kind of getting lost and end up wandering into this old castle. And it has like a throwback kind of vibe to like because it really wasn't a throwback because it was from the 70s, but it has like one of the vibes of like what was happening in like the Dracula movies and stuff like that, when people would end up like lost at night and end up in the Dracula's castle, and like when they would be in there and like weird stuff would go on. But essentially, though, they end up going into this old mansion because they're lost and everything, and they go inside of there, and there's all these like weird like people in the house that are like the I guess like the butler and everything, and they're just kind of odd. And essentially, though, it's like it kind of deals with all the it's like making statements about like the deadly sins and everything, like greed and lust and all those different things, and like all the kind of people that are there kind of connected in one way to the deadly sins, and they're in there with all their own reasons and everything. And there's this one woman there who's sort of like the succubus, and it's basically, though, bad things are happening to the people in the castle and everything that go there. And I actually really thought this was a pretty cool movie. This has on here, though, a HD transfer in the original camera negative. Looks really, really good here. This has a full extended European version. Has a commentary track on here, interview on here with the director, as well as some other interviews on this one with Ronald Lethem and Robert Lambertas, as well as an original theatrical trailer and trailers for other Mondo Macabro releases. This one here is from Troma. This is called IA Industrial Animals. I always, the one thing for Troma 2 that I always love is the openings with Lloyd Kaufman. This one has a funny one because it's kind of one of he has like a couple ones every so often. He's done this ever since like years ago, when there's some like general kind of intros where like he like someone holds something up to their mouth and like they can kind of change the movie that they're saying. So it's like, the movie we're going to talk about today is Industrial Animals. So they can like use the same intro a couple different times. I don't know if he's used this one in the past, if I remember it or not. I feel like maybe I did, but I know he did this years ago, because that's the one thing with Troma. Ever since DVDs were new, he always had intros, and he always said like digitally remastered, director's cut. He always said that. That's one thing I always love with Troma, is I always love Lloyd Kaufman's intros. That to me is like one of my favorite things. And this is, like I said, IA Industrial Animals, and this is basically about these guys that are these filmmakers who are doing a documentary about this girl who's a escort, and they're basically have her to the house, and they're kind of talking through the whole thing about like, well, how do we negotiate the money, and how do we do this, and how does this get figured out, and what would you normally do here? And they basically want her to be there for the whole weekend, and they want to kind of interview her and like talk to her about things and see what happens and everything. But essentially, though, it's kind of like the tables are turned a little bit, and like things are starting off okay, sort of, and then they start getting weirder and weirder with things that are going on with her, and it goes like to these really crazy levels and everything. This has on here, though, like I said, introduction, has a commentary track on here, interviews on the making of, theatrical trailers, has a trailer for Return to Nukem High Volume 2, as well as a Troma Now theatrical trailer, which is Troma Now is their streaming service that Troma has. The next ones here are from Wild Eye Releasing, and this is a movie here called Virus of the Dead. This is one I was so excited it's finally gotten a DVD release. This one in here, I'm in this movie, and this is from a couple years back. I filmed it. It was like right when I was like maybe like a year or so, a year and a half into the weight loss journey. So I was probably like, I don't know what I would have weighed at this movie, like maybe 280 or 250, something like that. But it's essentially, though, it's an anthology film where it's all about dealing with zombie kind of outbreaks. So it's basically like some of it's found footage style, like through the computer, and like all like with like horror stories, and they don't all go like one story then another story. Some of them go one story, then it cuts to another story, then back to the other story, so it's kind of like intertwining, weaving stories between them and everything. But some really, really cool segments in this. But one of the segments is me, and it's me during the zombie outbreak, and I go and say, oh, I don't know what to do with the zombie outbreak, but I think I'm just gonna lock myself in my DVD room. So I'm in here locked in this DVD room with only a little bit of water and stuff, and it's kind of like I watched it back. I was like, it was kind of fun the way it turned out, because they cut it throughout the movie. It's like a couple of different segments. But you know, if you guys are interested in wanting to see this one is available now here. Like I said, this is called Virus of the Dead. This one is from Wild Eye Releasing as well, and it's a movie here called Rust. This is basically though about these I believe it was two girls that were going to they wanted to go to this haunted attraction, but it's now abandoned, and they're also going to be meeting these guys there. So it's kind of them like going to this thing where some weird type of stuff had happened in the past. There was like some deaths and stuff, and they just basically knew some bad things had happened. So the place now is like closed down or abandoned or something. So they're going there. And of course, though, when they go there and they meet these guys, then there's somebody in this place kind of coming after them. It kind of has like a vibe, a little bit of like See No Evil, a little bit, like kind of the setup and everything. Because See No Evil, they went in that hotel, and then like there was like that guy who was like living in there, coming after them. It kind of has that sort of vibe a little bit to this one. But like I always like movies that are set in like haunted attractions and stuff. The one haunted thing that like what was set at a theme park that Wild Eye released years back that I always really loved was Scream Park. That was one, if you guys never saw that one, that's a great movie set this theme park, but this one's set in a haunted attraction. But I always like stuff set in haunted houses and that kind of stuff. This has on here though a director interview, Rust original features, and then well as trailers on this one. And the next one here is from Wild Eye Releasing as well, and I really like the cover on this one. It's got like a Reanimator vibe. It's called Dark Sister. It's about this woman who's an artist who does like, he kind of has these visions of like all these kind of crazy things, and she paints these like elaborate, really out there crazy paintings that deal with like murder and all these kind of things. Like I said, she's starting to see kind of visions of things happening and everything, and her way of kind of dealing with these visions and what she sees is putting them to paint and painting them and everything. But what's going on is though people are kind of like around her ending up dead, and it's like she's kind of like thinking that she might have a way of seeing who is behind doing them, and she's starting to think that she's actually seeing through the eyes of the killer, that she could be. And also there's also thoughts going on is like, could she be doing this, and exactly what is going on here. But this was actually a really pretty cool movie as well. This has on here though a director's commentary and trailers on this one. And the last one here is from MVD and SGL Entertainment, and this is called Doll Murder Spree. I was really interested in watching this because Marv Bartlett, who I've known for years, who's an actor, he's been in a bunch of different indie horror films and stuff, but I've known him for a really long time. He's in this movie, so I was really excited to see him in this movie. Essentially, though, this is about, he plays the teacher in this movie, and he's like doing like kind of like a film kind of class, and he like kind of has this dream of doing this documentary on like this like haunted house, this where like they said things that happened and everything, and he goes and wants to have the students kind of as extra credit go and like be like, well, you guys go with me and help me film this documentary, help document the house and kind of show everything and show exactly what's going on there, and it'd be like an extra credit kind of assignment. So they all kind of go there, and he comes along with them. Of course, though, when they go to this house, though, little by little there starts being like weird things are happening to people. So it was like not a good idea. Like anytime people go to like an old haunted house and like investigate it where people haven't been for years, it never really goes well. So this one is no different with that kind of things all going wrong. But actually really fun. It wasn't a long movie at all. It was only about an hour long. But like I said, this one here is called Doll Murder Spree. But anyway though, guys, that's all for the review portion of this video. Thanks again for watching and subscribing. Also, let me know in the comments below if you guys saw any of the titles that I reviewed and what you guys thought of them. Anyway though, guys, I'll see you guys later. Bye.